All right, so welcome everyone. This is our third Zoom gathering for installment 3, which was chapter 16 to 24. It's getting more and more exciting. So this is for everyone to share anything they'd like to share, any questions you'd like to talk about, any wonderings. Rick, for you to share anything that's come up for you too, because I'm sure people love to hear from you. And I'll just be here.
Oh, go ahead, Phil.
No, Rick. You.
I just wanted to give an update that volume 2 ended on Monday. It has 80 of the short chapters, so now there's 180 altogether in the 2 volumes. And I have a hunch that there will be a volume 3. So that's where we are right now. Thanks. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I was just going to say, last week I hadn't appreciated how incredibly powerful this book is. I thought to myself, how can you follow the first 2 books? But I realize it's jaw-dropping for me. You're taking it into a new dimension. It has a power and an urgency which is fresh to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I just wanted to say. I appreciate just what a huge gift it is.
Thank you.
To me, it sounds like a series of gifts for each chapter is completely new and doesn't need the other chapters to have its full meaning. And I just love that.
Power in a very short chapter. I think the shorter the chapter, the more powerful they seem to be.
My background is advertising, and I was used to put the best concept or the best idea in short words. And this is what is happening with this book. And I just love the way it's done.
Yep. Keep it simple, sweetheart. KISS. That was the motto in the office I worked at. And I always appreciated that because the shorter the letter, the better. And I worked with a man that was very egotistical. And it would be a 2-page letter to say really what he could have said in 1 paragraph. And so I always chuckled to how that KISS is really good. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Julia.
Hello.
We just started chatting. People were sharing how they're responding to the 3rd installment, or just how they're feeling about it after 3 installments. So feel free to share anything.
If for some reason I disappear, we're having a really crazy storm here, and my power's been flickering. So that's why if I disappear and don't come back, because I lost power.
So maybe Julia will. It seems like people here know each other, but Julia, do you know everybody here?
No, I don't know anybody here.
So how about we just go around and introduce yourselves a little bit, because then everybody knows each other and where you're from, where you're calling in from. That'd be nice.
You want me to start?
Whoever, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
I am Julia Pearson. I am in Baltimore, Maryland, which is about an hour north of Washington, D.C. in the United States. And I came to this via a post on John Mark Strout's page, Beyond Belief into Presence.
lit up. I guess I'll go. My name is Judy, or Jude Young Hunts, and I've been a student of A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love for many, many years, live in San Francisco. So actually Rick and I are, well, not quite neighbors, we're across town, but it was really kind of, I don't know how to say it. I'm really glad that he's from San Francisco. And it just seems like, I've been praying for this, so it's great that we have someone in this city that is doing this work.
Shall I go?
Sure, Phil, go ahead.
I'm Phil. I'm English. I live in Kent, which is the southeast of England. You can see France across the Channel. And I moved here in about 2000, and that's when I discovered A Course in Miracles, and was totally absorbed in that. And then when A Course of Love came along, I heard of that and felt I had to follow that too, and have been loving it, and didn't think it could be followed. I thought it had said it. But clearly, there's a way of saying it, and there's more to say, which is now coming very powerfully. So I'm thrilled about this. And it's a real privilege to be here.
Glad you're here. That's great. Jack, go ahead.
I'm Jacques Tétrault. I'm right now in Montreal, Canada, but usually I live in Spain, like 8 months of the year. My wife is Spanish. I came to A Course of Love, I guess 20 years ago. I did all the exercises every year during 10 years. And then I dropped into the Way of Mastery, and I'd like to speak about that later on. And eventually found A Course of Love 8 or 9 years ago. And I did the translation with a friend in French during a year and a half, but somebody else finished the work. And I found this new book. I said to myself, this is what I had been waiting for. I enjoyed the other two or the other three, but this one I particularly enjoy. It's so simple, so direct, so heart speaking. I just love it more than all the other three. And I'm so glad to be able to do that in French as well, if I can.
That'd be great. Yes, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Rick?
Oh, I'm Rick, and I live in San Francisco with Judy, and she's right. We live on opposite ends of it, on the width of it, I think. And I'm just really excited to talk to all of you today, and I'm so excited about hearing about the translation, Jack. That is so incredible. So thank you, everybody. And Julia, I hope that storm dissipates so we can see you for a while.
Miguel, can you hear us? I'm guessing that's you on the phone there, right? I put your name in there. Miguel?
Yeah. I just, thank you. I'm glad to be here. And I got your note, but since I'm using a phone, I don't know how to put my name on it.
Oh, okay,
I don't think
okay.
I can do that.
I'll fix it for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm enjoying it too. Very, very simple. I'm glad for that. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Did I miss anybody? No? Well, me, Christina, Westwood, Massachusetts. I guess I'm the only one on the East Coast. Well, you're in Montreal, so Jacques, so you're kind of there. Oh, right, Baltimore is close enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's nice to have you all here. I'd like to just say that it's simple and very difficult to live consistently. So what this is about for me is a lot less words, because it's a lot less thinking. There is no discussion groups. There will be no discussion, because each one is going to receive and resonate with the bits of it. And some, you're right. Someone said, I think Jacques, you said this, and Rick has said this before, that each chapter is complete unto itself. You can dip in and read any chapter, which is why I love the website having a chapter on a page. You can just stick a pin and go read something today. But the point is to live it. So A Course of Love, I feel, prepared us to move that mind into our hearts, to melt that sharp-edged. My granddaughter talks about her heart being like a tender pancake, a fluffy pancake. And I've said to her, well, let's take the mind, which is like a chunk of butter that's been in the refrigerator or freezer, and let's just breathe and melt that butter onto that pancake and let it soak in and be there very comfortably. And then we'll pour golden maple syrup on it, and the whole thing will flow into our whole body, into our belly, and overflow into the world. That's what love is, that maple syrup and butter. So if overflowing is the action. So it's not an action in the old school way of planning what to do and thinking, okay, how shall I fix this? So for me, this is what I'm saying, that you cannot tell when you watch somebody take action where it's coming from. You can feel it, but you can't tell by looking at it or seeing the effect, because the effect could look amazing in the short term. But we're talking about sustaining Christ consciousness. So I'd like to talk about that just a little bit. That was something that kept coming up for me this past week as we put out more chapters, that this is truly action in the way of Jesus that arises from the way of Mary, from that deep place of the belly, the place of the golden syrup and butter and pancake, and that tenderness and that sweetness. So we'll come right back to that. We'll see who's joining us here. Hi. Lorraine, hi.
Do you want me to be unmuted or muted? I'm sorry I'm late.
No, that's fine. I just unmuted you so you could introduce yourself. We've just finished that and just begun talking a little bit. So please just say a few words about where you are and what brought you here today, how you found Journey.
My name is Lorraine Daraj. I live in British Columbia, Canada. I have been an avid student of probably Course in Miracles, A Course of Love. I joined the Facebook page on A Course of Love. I've actually been on a Zoom call where you have been, Christine. I followed Sue's 40 days, but I just recently received the latest book here that Rick has scribed, and it speaks to me. It speaks to me. I do feel that I am at a point where I am called to be a manifestation of that love and the way of knowing, the way of Mary, and certainly would love to be part of a group or be along with companions that are doing the same thing. So I'm delighted to be here with all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Hello,
Lorraine.
Rick.
I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you.
That's great. And you have a halo. Did you know that? Lean back a
Oh,
little bit. No, that's fine. It's lovely. Just you sit back a little bit. There's this beautiful halo. Oh, look at that.
When I lean back in my chair.
Yes, yes. When you relax and allow things to be, you become an angel. There you go.
Absolutely. That's what we are, right? At the core of our divineness. Yeah.
So please, everyone, I'm very curious to know your response to what I just said, which is, Lorraine, just very briefly, I simply said that it's simple language to read and take in and really short chapters. And it is simple because the living of it is what we're being asked to do. Not just a few minutes a day or once a week, but we are asked to live this 24/7 with every living being we encounter. Every living thing, that means the earth as well. Every footstep. So I'll just invite everyone to talk about that, which is action in the way of Jesus arising from the deep place of the way of Mary. And that is invisible. So it's important to remember that. So I love to hear from people.
So I'd like to speak to that. I noticed myself this week. You know, there were a number of things that I found myself doing this week that I haven't had to do recently, like just sort of phone calls to manage little technical things, and, you know, calling a customer service representative about X and Y, you know, just random kind of tasky type things. And I found myself saying to myself, every time I went to make one of those calls or do one of those kinds of errandy things, I'm here to bless the world. And it was like, it totally changed the way that I then felt on that call, because it wasn't about getting what I needed anymore. It was about, who am I going to meet on the other end? And how can I be in this conversation to make it, to bless the world and this person? And it's not really about why I'm calling is not why I think I'm calling. And every single time, those conversations were so rich. And it just was really an interesting thing. I mean, that was one of the things that I really took away from this installment was just this sense of ownership of it, really, and really taking it to heart, and just sort of remembering in every moment that I could that is why I'm here. That's my role. And it really made a difference. It's very inspiring and exciting for me. One of the lines that just stuck out that I just loved, and I listened as I walked this week, was, "You are a slice of delicious pie." I just love that so much. It was just so, I was just like, oh, it just was great. Like little things like that are just so beautiful in this writing. It's so simple, but it's so poignant and precious at the same time. It just is beautiful. Like, I'm so ready for this writing. I'm so ready for these words. I'm just eating them up. I really am. So, thank you.
Thank you. And so you must love the photograph I put on that chapter then.
Yes.
And that's my favorite pie, which is why I chose it. And I chose a really nice big piece. But then it was 2 days later, I was talking to my husband. I said, you know what? That's the perfect pie. It's the denser part is the human, and then there's all this fluff, which is the divine, and they're together, and they're delicious when eaten together and offered together, not separately.
Exactly.
So it was perfect. I love that. Please, Judy.
I was going to say the 24/7, that didn't surprise me or alarm me or anything else. It's all part of being all in the oneness. But being aware of it 24/7, I become aware of it more when I'm not in my right mind. So when when all of a sudden I realize that I'm doing something that isn't bringing me peace, or just an attitude, whatever it is, I become aware much faster that that's not exactly what I want to express right now. And I've been doing a morning meditation about manifesting what you want. Well, of course, the Miracles talks about, I want the peace of God. What else is there to ask for or to want? And so that's what came to me about this is what I want. I want the peace of God. So when I find that I'm out of peace, I remember to ask, I want the peace of God. So focusing on that every morning, it's only 12 minutes. And when afterwards you listen to find out what you might be guided to do to support your intention or your desire, want, whatever it is. And I have found that very, very helpful because I do this before I get out of bed. So it's kind of, no, I'm going to get out of bed now. This is the direction I get for the morning, for that time of the day. And during the day as well, I remember that if my intention is for the peace of God, I ask, what can I do now? Or what, some guidance as to, and it's just changing your mind, actually. It's just, choosing again, basically, is what it boils down to. So all the past lessons come to mind quickly, which is very good. And then the other thing that you mentioned in A Course of Love about no escape, maybe we could talk about that just a little bit later, but I had to look it up, the no escape, which is a conversation in and of itself. So I didn't really get into it too much, but it would be a good thing to talk about, to dialogue, I should say. I'm done.
Anyone else?
Well, I just want to say that, Julia, I found what you said for me very helpful. You focused on something that struck me, but I hadn't realized it with a simple clarity. This business of actually, I'm here to bless whoever I meet, and nothing is by accident, and my purpose is to bless them. I think that is, to me, that is the release from, I suppose I'm still struggling with the forgetting, the fear, and there is no answer to that other than, I think that this shows the way to step out and to put those ego-centered thoughts and feelings aside and simply focus on what you're talking about. I mean, to me, that is the answer that this provides.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Go ahead, Laurie.
I'd like
Okay.
to testify that
It's okay.
I feel I'm really renewed. I'm not the person I used to think I was. And this book, this revelation, is also so new. So, it's very different from the two first books. It speaks to me directly, and I have the impression that it doesn't speak to me, but a person I was 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. It's a new Jesus to a new me, is the feeling I get every time I read or listen.
So the very act of reading or listen reminds you who you truly are, because that's who is being spoken to. And then we're asked to go out and see people and interact with them in that way, with their souls. Lorraine, go ahead.
Okay, so I think the book really, really speaks to me, and I've read the 3 editions that are we're up to chapter, I can't even remember what the chapters are, but the 3 releases, and have done it very quickly, but I have found it so profound. And I think for me, in my life, I mean, we're all on a path, and we've all can see the divine thread on that path that's brought us to this place. And I've been living in this place of joy and blessing for a year. I mean, I look at the weeds and they are so beautiful to me. And I see that, I see the light, and that is a reflection of what's going on inside. And in the context of what we've been going through now, the COVID-19, being shelter in place, staying home, it's been a whole new experience. And we've been on Zoom calls, I've been online, all kinds of stuff. There's what's real anymore, what's truth. And I remember the video that showed the death of George Floyd, and it was very disturbing, and it disturbed me. And I had to, of course, investigate that. But it was a few days before I realized, wait a minute, you need to see Derek Chauvin as the same as George Floyd. They're both my sons. They're both your brothers. You are capable of being the victim and being the perpetrator, right? And oh yeah, I forgot. And so that took me out of this joyous space that I've been dancing in for the last year or so, and blessing every day and everyone. And then lately, I've been going through a series of surgeries, like insignificant, incidental eye cataracts, and recently had a hand surgery for Dupuytren's, it's spiking disease. Anyway, I've not been able to use my hand for the last month, and I am doing exercises right now. So it's coming along, but I went through, I had to have general anesthetic for this, and that was June 25th. And when I woke up, it's like I didn't really wake up. And I thought, where is that joy? Where is this fatigue coming from? And I've struggled with it for the last 3 weeks. Reading these chapters have been imminent call. I see also the distress and the unrest out there, and people saying, we just need to get back to normal. And I'm thinking, well, what was normal? Are we sure we want to be out of control like we were? And now people being homebound because of COVID are saying, well, we're getting bored. And I was starting to think, okay, you're 74 years old, Lorraine. Maybe your hand surgery, I hope I can tie this all together. Maybe you need to admit that you're aging and you can't go through surgery without taking all this time to rebound, right? Yeah, what is life going to look like after this? Where are we going with this? And then probably through listening to somebody, I can't take credit for me coming up with this idea, but I always find Jesus, Holy Spirit, my spirit guides speak to me through others all the time. And I've been looking outside of myself ever since that surgery, wrapped up in a small little, going under the knife. And it has occurred to me just through listening to a speaker the other day. He's a Canadian, Stephen Jenkinson, and a beautiful spiritual person, not involved in ACM or ACOL that I know of. But he brought me back to the inside, that this moment is the holy instant, is the only moment which we know and have studied. But I had to be reminded, it's so easy to slip out, Phil, to slip out of consciousness, and we need to reclaim it. It's so easy to go back into that ego mind. It doesn't. And I was looking at the outside, like the COVID and what's it going to look like, and the hand surgery, and I thought, whoa, no, get back to the center, get back to your true essence, get back to living that holy essence in this moment now. That's all you have. And it's been a gift. You've been given that gift, which we all know and have learned through being students of the course, both courses or any parts of our spiritual journey that bring us to this. So I actually have my energy back. I am feeling that joy again, staying centered, knowing that I am being called now. And have been, I've known that, but it's so easy to lose our Christ consciousness, our awareness, right? But it's bringing me back to this moment and living in this beautiful moment that is a gift. That's all I have right now. Doesn't matter what's going to happen. We might have to live in COVID for 3 more years, but what's happening out there, I was starting to see the illusion more than the blessing again. But this book, I'm loving it. It speaks deeply and profoundly, and really, I do believe it's a call to now. You need to be that manifestation of love. You need to be in the moment of the essence, in the moment of love, and just be it. Just show up. And here I am. Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's beautiful. That's exactly it. The book is called A Journey into the Unknown. We're living that. And we can only know in the present moment because that's the only moment that's real. That's the only place, the quantum now. So you're doing that. And I just want to say that even if you didn't have the book, it just takes a couple of deep breaths. You close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and breathe that busy mind, down into your heart. And take another deep breath, put your right hand on your belly, and breathe further down into your body, because the body becomes holy. And the body is the holy vehicle that is needed. What this book is saying
Absolutely.
is our arms and legs and bodies are needed in the world. And it is our choice. We can bless the world from our back gardens as we garden in the way of Mary, or as your heart, not all, and if your heart prompts, take action as your heart prompts. But that is who we are, and we are very needed. So I'm very, very grateful for everything you said and for you being here and for all of you being here.
Thank you. I just want to add to, I think it was chapter 16, that beautiful prayer that I've started reciting, and it's, Dear Father or Mother or Creator, or we can use all three, please help me to harness and extend the love you have given me, the love that I am, to all of those you place before me. I am the mighty truth, powerful enough to cut through any illusion and heal all misperceptions that stem from untrue beliefs. And that is in, I think it's chapter 16. I think it's just in the last part. So I've starting to recite this daily and often. This sort of become my new mantra, and it's right out of the book. To be a constant reminder of staying. And I'll remember the heart and the breathing. Thank you, Christina.
I made it my desktop. So every time I turn on my computer, it's right there. And I had to laugh at myself because I went, oh God, that again. And that was just that was like a silly joke. And it really makes me, brings me back to center and exactly what we're here for. And I love the I am in all caps. And just being reminded, yeah, it's a beautiful prayer. And I have it at my desktop because it's something I don't have it memorized yet. It's not necessarily that I memorize it. It just is the feeling I get when I see it on the desktop, brings me back to center and my purpose. So it's a beautiful prayer. Rick, are there other prayers that are coming up or?
Yes. Yes, there are.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Miguel, would you like to say something? Rick, go ahead. I'm not sure if Miguel can hear me.
I just wanted to see if I could share one of the brand new ones that just came on Sunday.
Sure.
This is going to be at the very end of volume 2. It's chapter 179. And I feel really inspired to share it with you. It's really short. This is what it looks like.
All right.
And it just says, living here is complicated, isn't it? we're asking you to understand the human condition and not be at all bothered by it at the same time. We are asking you to understand your own human qualities and soul qualities and have a good understanding of how life here really works. We don't ask that you believe in a God, but that you know at the deepest level that you are part of God. If God knows that she is God, and she knows that she is here on the great and majestic planet Earth, then how can things here not transform in the most perfectly splendid way? We leave you with this interesting question to ponder. Good night, my loves. And this was written Sunday night, this past Sunday night. So
Beautiful.
again, the theme about us being free spirits and also understanding our own human nature, understanding everybody else's human nature, and also being able to see through it and not let it bother us and not let us drag us down, which I do a lot. I am susceptible to being just dragged down by all the stuff that goes on. So I have to remind myself that I have the power to not do that, at least not as much. Thank you.
I'd like to, Rick, who's the we? How do you understand the we in some of the phrases?
Well, so I understand that spirit is a multiplicity. It is a we. I mean, it's all of our souls joined together in the oneness. Mm-hmm. So the book talks about, there's a lot of supernatural elements of the book, and it talks about your spirit guides. It talks about angels. It talks about how you, Jock and Judy and Julia, Lorraine, Miguel, Christina, you each have an actual army of spiritual helpers to help you because you're the representation of all of them. So sometimes Jesus, who refers to himself as the CEO of this organization, but he also talks in the plurality of we, and he's including me and you and all of our spirit helpers. So that's my understanding of that word, we.
Thank you.
I
You
think
know,
the
Jack, A Course of Love also, Jesus's voice goes from I to we at times.
Mhm.
And the same is true of A Course in Miracles. Perhaps not as often as Journey does, but it's very much a collective. And the I is Jesus speaking, but there's a we behind that because we are one. We are one. Go ahead. Somebody was talking. Lorraine?
Oh, no. Well, chapter 1, because I thought, okay, who is scribing this at one point? And I did go back, and Jesus says, I am the scribe. And I think in the very same paragraph at the end, he talks about what we are doing. I'm the scribe of this. And it's right from the get-go in the book. I know it makes me wonder too. I'm so happy to hear, though, that I am representing all these. I mean, I pray always to trust the spiritual guidance I'm receiving, but I'm talking to all the spirit guides, the angels, the devas, the saints, my guardian angel, Michael the archangel, and I am aware that there is this army. I don't know if I would have called it that, but there's this gathering behind me, behind all of us. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Miguel, can you hear us?
Yes, Christian, I can. I'm just listening.
Please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I can hear, and I'm enjoying listening. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I was going to put up the questions, if I can do that quickly, to see if there's anything there anybody would like to, the questions for each chapter. There it is. And in the chat, I've just put the questions to live by. I call them the questions to live by, and they appear right above the chapter titles. So we've talked about some of that. If there's anything else there that anyone has been contemplating or wondering, Rick's right here and we can share. Or which certainly for me, let me just go first, is to say, to come clean in chapter 19, have you quit blaming others and yourself? Is the hardest to live with a husband. I have to say that he's been my greatest teacher, and now it feels really super powerful to notice when I'm grumbling at him about something, you know, because every little thing counts, every moment counts.
Yes.
And over the years, the more I've done my work, the more he's transformed before my eyes. So
Amazing how that works, isn't it?
it is.
It is.
But yeah, it's certainly the ultimate test. I think the litmus test is when you have someone with you nearly all the time. We've worked at home, from home, me since 1997 and him since 2001. So we're literally on top of each other. So I'll leave it at that. So chapter 19 was very important for me.
I didn't receive the introduction, so I do have a question about the book itself. So it's still ongoing, Rick, the scribing, and you are releasing parts of it. And will we ever be able to get our own hard copy? And maybe this was all addressed. I apologize for raising it again.
So volume 1 has 100 chapters and they're all short. And then volume 2 has 80 and they're numbered 1 through 180.
Okay.
And I have a hunch that there is going to be a volume 3. So, but for right now, we have 180 and that's where we are right now. Christina puts a collection on the website.
Yes, I'm on her mailing list, so I've been receiving them. A co-create, can't remember the name.
Co-creating clarity, that's my...
That's it, co-creating clarity. Thank you. So I am getting those as she releases them. Thank you, Christine, because I'm really appreciating that. And Rick, I love your backstory. I'm recalling a little bit. Like I can see why they're so simple and so easy to get through, because we're not to be using that mind or getting caught up in complex thinking anymore. We're done, you know, and it just speaks straight to the heart. And this is what you've got to do: get committed, you know, be vigilant. It's getting us, you know, it's like taking Excedrin for the headache. Like, get yourself ready, get prepared, because you're really called and you're asked to be vigilant and committed to this work. I mean, it's being committed to who we are in truth. It's being committed to the love that we are and that we have to manifest. But I love your backstory, Rick, of how you were called and you gave up everything. You know, you quit your job. I believe you were in policing, and how it's come to be that you are now at this point in this moment doing this work. And I know it's certainly being done on my behalf. So thank you with great love and great gratitude. And
I'd like
all of you, Christine.
I'd like to speak about my impression of this revelation or this channel. To me, it's not a book. It's a friend present for a short time, short intervals during my day. And to me, I don't see it as a book, but as a friend who's talking to me for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, short intervals of time, and I just can't see this as reading a book. It's a living, continuous presence in my life at this time.
Yes, well put. A dialogue.
It really does put into practice. It pushes us into practice of what A Course of Love ends saying, you know, you are accomplished. Now get on with it. Doesn't quite say that in those words, but it's saying that.
Right?
Just like A Course in Miracles says, forget this book, put the book aside, you know? So this is saying it to me in no uncertain terms. And I have to say the most common prayer I pray in the morning and every moment through the day that I remember is help me to remember. That really works wonders for me, asking for the help to remember in the moment, to stay in the moment, because that is to me the most important thing, to stay in the moment and walk in gratitude. So if I find my thoughts going, the easiest way for me is to just, as I'm sitting here, for example, is to say, and sometimes I say it out loud, thank you for this chair I'm sitting in. Thank you for the screen in front of me. Thank you for my cup of tea, you know, if I'm on my own. And just repeating it like that by what I'm seeing with my eyes somehow brings me back into my body and into this moment. It may take a few moments, but asking for help to remember is.
And I think what I hear you saying, Jacques, it's like an embodiment of the book, of what's being said here. It's becoming the living words. It's not a book, an object to be read. It's a doing. It's a, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And before you joined us, we were talking about the fact that it's coming out slowly, and Jacques was saying that it's a nice way to get it in small pieces, so you have time to become it, live it. Yeah, so I think it's. Phil.
Unmute.
You're muted, Phil.
Oh.
Good idea. Thank you. Sorry. I still find myself forgetting an awful lot. And I was thinking about what you were saying, Christina, that the book is really saying, look, you've made it, you're complete. You can put all that behind you and just do it. I can't put all that behind me because I keep being reminded of it. I keep being, and what reminds me of it is some event that comes my way that triggers a flash of anger because it reminds me of some buried distress that I've had, and before I know it, that's dragging me down, and unless I can actually admit that feeling and that distress and find a way, a harmless way of letting it go, ideally of sharing it with somebody who is able to allow me to do that, then I remain low. So I find that the thing that brings me out of my conditioned mind into my heart and my true will is actually the continual reminder of my humanness and my human frailty and the ease with which I'm made to remember distress that happened to me on my journey and be conscious of it and allow it to pass. So I just slightly get the impression that this is a book where all that is put behind. And one of the books I found tremendously helpful is Laurel Elstrom's her book, taking the 40 days and 40 minutes and taking you through that in a way which is, I found, enormously helpful because it just admits that, yes, you don't have to be perfect. This is who we are. It's not about how you should be. It's actually just about allowing, admitting and enjoying who you are. And and trying to focus and focusing as much as you can on the wonderful guidance that this book is now providing. So there's another half of the story, it seems to me, and I guess I'm wondering whether any of the book focuses on that aspect.
Well, can I ask you a question, Phil?
Please.
When something happens on the outside, and you said you triggered something, so feelings come up. And for me, you're absolutely right. That's really, really important to feel those feelings, which is what A Course of Love has trained us to do. To feel the feelings deeply, to allow them to be and go into them. So, and not react, but to actually have that be the gift, the feelings that come up, no matter what anyone has done and said to trigger it. I put my focus on what is arising within me and feel that. And that is a practice that I imagine I'm going to carry on doing for the rest of my life, because as long as I'm human, there's going to be things that bring up feelings. What I've noticed, though, over practicing this for the years I've been with A Course of Love, because that was the big thing for me in A Course of Love, is that there are no bad feelings. Feelings are feelings. Feel them, allow them to arise, and as you be with them, not put them out there, not even necessarily anymore talk to anybody about them, they do dissipate. And then each time I work with that, the interval between feeling that and them just going poof and me retrieving the energy that was tied up in those, I think A Course of Love calls it rocks and pebbles and specks of sand and, in your clear pool. The more that happens, the shorter the interval is becoming. And I do wonder if there's ever going to be a point where it's almost instantaneous, that it doesn't even, disturb me. It still disturbs, I still feel disturbing feelings if something disturbs me. But so I wonder how staying with your feelings, how do you do that? How does it work for you when the outside thing happens? Because remember, the outside is really coming from the inside. It's as within, so without. So tell me a little about that, Phil.
Well, thank you for the question. What I do, what I'm beginning to do and learn to do and join with people who do is what we call co-counseling. So we spend time with each other and just allow each other to express some of that distress that we carry around in the mind, and encourage each other to discharge it, just to let it go, to express it. And it makes we carry it in our bodies. And the distress that we carry in our bodies actually makes us ill. And it also makes the world ill. We either project it onto the world, or we actually inject it, and it lowers our physical tone, it lowers our mental tone, and it dispirits us. It despirits us.
What if you're on your own and you don't have your? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm curious about what you do when you're on your own and it happens. In the moment, something happens.
I struggle with deeply embedded shame at having those sorts of feelings, and deeply embedded beliefs that I'm only beginning to discover I have. So I should be better than I am, that there's something fundamentally, that I have a fatal flaw. That belief that I have a fatal flaw is deeply ingrained and associated with distress. And I'm not saying I'm special or alone. I think most people struggle with this. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the process. And I guess what I'm trying to counteract is the idea that somehow there is a perfect way to be, and we ought to be that. And it's that oughting, it's the sense of ought, the ideal self, which is a false image, which I'm thrilled to be beginning to let go of, but it's a constant struggle to remember that. So I do it through reading. I find that the books are enormously helpful because they calm me down and remind me of all this, but also sharing it. You can't do this. I'm discovering on your own. It's about sharing, and it's about sharing not just your sort of heavenly feelings. It's about sharing your human feelings and some of the dirty, grubby human feelings. It's about sharing that and learning not to be ashamed of it and letting it go. Emotions have a noise that they need to make in order to pass.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah. No blame, no shame on anyone, and certainly not yourself, because what you just described, Phil, ties into what Judy was saying also about the no escape. That's what the no escape means, because,
Yeah.
whether you eject or reject,
Yeah.
it's either yourself that you're hurting or someone out there that you're hurting. And
Right.
so it has to be felt.
Right.
Simply has to be allowed to arise and felt with no judgment. And the line that I love from A Course of Love is, do you judge peace because you don't like them? No, you just accept that you have that feeling. I accept that I'm angry and feel it and allow it. Yeah. And sharing absolutely helps. You're right, Phil. So, yeah. Rick, do you want to add something to that? I'm not sure I'm ready.
I do, if I could. I found some new chapters that address what Phil was talking about. So this one is from 141, and it came on July 6th. It says, "Stop, please. Stop believing all of the lies that people teach each other. Stop should've, could've, would've, supposed to, must, and all of the other dictates that religion teaches, families teach, schools teach, television teaches, social media teaches. It's all good for one thing only, which is to instill guilt and to attempt to coerce and control. Now tell me, what does any of this have to do with freedom?
Mhm.
What does any of this have to do with love? It's all fear-based, and it's only good for promoting shame, and shame is a disease that often produces physical disease, which is what you're talking about, Phil." And then another one is 166. It came on July 15th, and it says, "Please put all worries and regrets into a box marked return to sender. You won't need them where you're going. Whatever you need will be provided, and if you don't need it anymore, feel free to pass it along to somebody else. Send it back, send it back. It's all the wrong size, it's the wrong style, it's the wrong color. It just doesn't suit you anymore.
No.
Maybe it did at one point, but not anymore. You're free to choose what suits you now. You're free to choose what's becoming to you now. You are not that same person who felt guilty about that thing you did 25 years ago or yesterday. You're not that same person who worried what people say about you behind your back or what will happen to you if you lose your job." And this is in quotations. "No, sorry, that person doesn't live here anymore. But if you see her, can you give her this box?" So this is really talking to me about identifying that stuff and just not bringing it in.
Mhm.
So because I do, I'm very much, I was very much raised as somebody with all the shouldas, couldas, and whatevs, and shame and guilt. And so being free of that right now, I'm really trying to identify those things and trying to be free of them so I can be of service, because if I'm all tied up with all that stuff, I'm not going to be of any good. That's how I feel.
Mhm. And we only do that to other people because we're doing it to ourselves.
Mhm.
And the more I don't do that to myself, the more freedom I have and the more freedom I give everyone around me to feel what I'm feeling. I think the important thing is to feel it all and do it in a way that is tender and loving to yourself and harmless to yourself and to others, to find whatever comforts you, whatever it is in that moment, and allow it to be. It's when we stop ourselves that it comes out in ways that are harmful to ourselves and to others. Judy,
Have
are
to go.
you?
Bye.
You have to go? Okay. Bye. So Phil, I'm trying to remember what part of A Course of Love goes into that in great detail. Can anybody remember? Feeling your feelings. It might be in Accept the Present, I think, the day that's Accept the Present. And Phil, you were talking about Laurel's book being helpful.
Yes, wonderful.
So she must have talked about something more.
Oh, it's really all about it's really all about that.
That day, if you go look up that day, I can't remember the number of the day, but the title of it is Accept the Present, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're here. You know, it's. I hope it feels lighter to share.
Oh, it does. In fact, I think the sharing is crucial because although we're all unique, we're different, we're all actually the same. We all have the same experiences, not exactly the same, but they're all different versions of the same human feelings. And it's the recognition. It's the ability to the gift of seeing yourself in the other person and them seeing themselves in you, because actually, okay, they may use different words, but they have the same experiences, and the same doubts, and the same workings of that conditioned ego mind.
Wonderful.
So being able to see it in each other is a tremendous help in letting it go.
You spoke of sharing, with the co-counseling, so important. But what is so significant in the Course is joining in unity and relationship. And that's knowing that we are one. And I mean, even coming together to join in this small group and having maybe the common goal of but becoming what this book is speaking to us about. We are a unit in that. So we're the smaller unit of joining, but even when those feelings come up or when I get sort of disassociated, I'm looking outside of myself, it's coming back and joining with my truth, with my Christ self, with the love that I am, with my divine essence. And for me, that's the biggest joining, because I'm back joined. I'm not in the separated mind anymore. I'm joined back with my source, my essence, my divineness, right? And I think it is significant and important in all the ways that we share, and all the ways we share to that we can see through the sharing. We are one, and we are joined in unity, in union and relationship. Like those two things are so important. Mm-hmm. Our oneness even here.
Now, I want to say that I hope the sharing with other people leads us closer and closer to being able to share with ourselves in a way that is self-sourcing, so that we can carry that light regardless of who we're with and where we are, and be that beacon of modeling, the example that journey is asking us to be. And in A Course of Love, Jesus asked us to do that. He said, my one example life could not sustain Christ consciousness, and I call on you. So yes, sharing with each other is a way to move to that place of truly living our identity, the true identity, which is our true self, our soul, as the accomplished, and then shine that as a beacon, for everyone. So yeah, I'm really glad everyone's here.
Thank you. You've articulated that so beautifully.
Sorry, Phil, go ahead.
It was just the word that keeps coming to me is of discovery. I discover it. I of course I knew it before, but I discover what I'm reminded of.
Right.
I rediscover
Mm-hmm.
the unity, the oneness,
Mm-hmm.
by the sharing.
Yeah.
It's a constant process of discovery.
Right. And I do want to just say again about the breath. You know, it's as close to us as our breath to remember and be here. That, you know, even the tapping on the breastbone here, which is the high heart, which is literally the place in our body of wholeheartedness. It's where the heart and mind are joined. It's a place, it's actually the place of the thymus gland. And it's a place that has been opening in humanity, I understand, since 9/11 happened, which was an event to crack open that firm, you know, armored heart and mind that humanity had back in 2001, that cracked open for the world, is what I understand. I'm just saying what my resonant experience is with it. And in the Indian system of chakras, the throat expresses the mind, and the throat color is blue. And the heart, which is the personal relationship, is green. And so this chakra right here, if you tap that bone, and you can hear the resonance if you talk when you tap it, is turquoise in color, because it is heart and mind joined. And it's from that place that you remember who you truly are, and then you bring it into your body. Because really what we're talking about here is what A Course of Love calls the elevated self of form.
Mm-hmm.
It is the soul, your true self, the elevated self of form. It's the body is the vehicle of expressing that. So, you know, I really hope we don't forget the body and how it can be a helper in the feelings and how to come home to ourselves, you know, but through the breath and, you know, that kind of tapping. Rick, did you want to say anything? Anyone else? Because I'm noticing it's almost 6:10 and it's time to wrap up. Rick, Miguel, Jacques, Julia, you've been very quiet. Go ahead, anyone.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. I look forward to meeting with you every Wednesday because definitely, Rick and Christine, you've begun. We are going to become the book. Like, we're maybe the first. We're going to live this book. We are going to represent this book. We're going to be the feet, like you say, the hands, and be vigilant and be committed and help others find their true self or discover the love that they are through what this book is asking us to do. So I'm really glad that I'm part of the beginning of us taking this book forward and out there. So thank you. And I look forward to coming back, Rick, next Wednesday. I'm actually really excited about it. So it's making my heart sing, making my heart dance, and I'm feeling a few tears here. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And I also want to say, though, that this is literally one moment at a time. So I don't want anybody to get too hung up on every Wednesday or anything like that.
Oh, fine.
No.
But when I saw the schedule, I thought,
I know.
a group that we can meet. But
well, it's not a group. It's a place for people to gather, and anyone and everyone is welcome. And
absolutely,
it may change in frequency, it may change in day, it may change in time. Just like I still don't know if an installment is coming out on Saturday. I don't know how many chapters, but I will know. And when I know, it will be done. And yes, at the moment, we are trying to do an installment every week. And we are, at this point, having a gathering, open Zoom gathering every week. And we will see how it goes. Because this is not about looking outside for anything. It is about self-sourcing.
Yeah.
Completely being a self-sourced light by being connected to source.
Yes.
I love the unknown, and I love
it's
going bit by bit, day by day, minute by minute.
Yes, there's no other way to live. Go watch Frozen 2 if you haven't. Or read my post on co-creating clarity. It was written last November, and it was called Frozen 2, The Heroine's Journey to Herself. So, yes.
Where can we find that, Christina?
Co-creatingclarity.com is my website.
Right, okay.
Right on the front page, you'll see a link you can click on for Indra's Net, and all the Indra's Net of Jewels is a metaphor that I've used for a couple of years now, which captures the essence of oneness, because we are each a sparkling jewel, unique sparkling jewel, multifaceted, and yet connected to every other jewel, reflecting every other jewel in this infinite net of consciousness.
Indra's Net?
No, yeah, you can just go to co-creatingclarity.com, and it's
Okay,
right there
I'll
on the
find
front
it.
page. To click, you can click on that, you can click on Journey, it's all there. So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, anybody, please? Rick, do you want to say anything in closing?
Thank you for being here, everybody. It's really something I've been looking forward to all week too, and I appreciate all of you being here, and I learned from you, and I learned from all of your sharings. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Yep, it's giving and receiving as one, always, every moment. I love that. Thank you all for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you next week, maybe.
Yes.
Mwah. Love you all. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.